Hello, welcome to the course PHY 5B06 Computational Physics. The contents of today's lecture is taken from Python for Education by Ajit Kumar and Computational Physics by Inashu CA. We will continue to discuss topics from Module 2, NumPy and Matplotlib. In the last class, we discussed how to plot a regular graph, a two-dimensional graph using the plot function. In today's class, let's see how to do a polar plot. I'm sure all of you are familiar with polar coordinates, where we locate a point on a plane using two coordinates. One is the distance r, and the other one is the angle theta. So r is usually measured with respect to the origin, and the angle theta is measured with respect to some reference point. Typically, the plus x-axis is taken as the reference direction for measuring angles. So positive angles are measured anti-clockwise from the plus x-axis, and negative angles are measured clockwise with respect to the plus x-axis. So that's the convention. Let's look at a couple of examples. So here the function for plotting a polar graph is polar. It has two arguments. If you are looking at a two-dimensional graph, one is the angle theta, second one is the distance r. So first I need to create two arrays or list for r and theta. So as always, from Pylab import star, all the functions of pyplot as well as numpy are imported at once. So I'm going to create an array for r vector. So r equal to arrange 0 to 0.01. So I have array elements starting from 0 with a step size of 0.01. So basically I'm looking at an array of around 200 elements. And theta is 2 pi r. So basically each element of the r vector I multiply with 2 pi. That's my theta array. So I have two arrays. Then I plot them using the polar function polar theta comma r. A 2D graph is plotted and that's stored in the RAM. If I want to display it on the screen, I need to use the show function. So when I say show, so I get the output as a polar plot. So here you can see you have two axes. One is the distance axis, then the angle measured with respect to the plus x axis in the anti-clockwise direction, that is your theta coordinate. So first point r is 0, theta is 0, that's your starting point. And what will be the second point? R is 0.01 and theta is 2 pi multiplied by 0.01. So that's going to be the second point. Okay, so that's how this graph is plotted. Since I did not specify any styling, the default styling is applied, that is the blue solid line. Let's look at another example. Theta equal to linspace 0 to pi 1000. So the range between 0 and 2 pi I divide into 1000 equal elements. I have created an array of 1000 elements. And r is nothing but sine 6 theta. So I have two arrays. I plot them using polar function and I get this kind of a graph. Let's look at another familiar example, how to plot a circle. So you can describe a circle either using the Cartesian coordinate system or using the polar coordinate system. So in polar coordinate system, what's the description of a circle? Basically the angle theta varies from 0 to 2 pi, one complete cycle, and radius r for a given circle, that is a constant. Right? So you need to create two arrays. One is the theta array where the elements changes from 0 to 2 pi. Then the radius array basically has constant values. Okay. So I am going to specifically plot a circle of unit radius. Okay. So theta is linspace 0 to 2 pi 100. So I have a 100 element array here. And r equal to ones 100. So you are familiar with the ones function, right? So basically it creates an array of 100 elements and value of all the elements is 1. Okay, so my radius is 1. Suppose I want to draw a circle of radius 2. Then what do? R equal to 2 into 1's 100. So basically I have an array of 100 elements. The value of each element is 2, right? So that way you can change your R vector. Once I have my theta and R, I'm going to plot them using the polar function, polar theta R. I'm going to give a title as circle of unit radius, and I display it using the show function. So this is your circle. So I have a solid circle here where the radius at every point is constant. It is 1, so it is 0.2 to 1. Okay, so radius is constant and angle changes from 0 to 2 pi with respect to the plus x-axis. So that's a brief description about polar plot, and before winding up, let's see plots of some of the common functions like trigonometric functions, exponential, etc. First, let's plot the sine function. I need to first create an x-axis, and my range is from 0 to 4 pi. You can choose any range. I'm going to divide that into 100 points. So x equal to linspace 0, 4 pi, 100. Y is sine x. Then you plot x and y. I give x label as x, y label as sine x, and when I hit show function, this is the output. Okay, so this is the default styling, blue solid line. Sine start from 0. Sine 0 is 0. At pi by 2 it is 1. At pi it is 0. At 3 pi by 2 it is minus 1. And then at 2 pi it is 0. And this graph gets repeated. The default font size for label is 12, but I have applied here a font size of 14, but in my code I did not explicitly write that. So you already know how to change the font size of a label, right? Okay. Now for cos x, you can follow the same program. Instead of y equal to sine x, you write y equal to cos x. And you can plot these two functions together and compare them. So x equal to linspace 0 to 4 pi 100. Y1 is sine x, y2 is cos x. First you plot x and y1, and I'm going to apply legend with the label sine x. Second plot x comma y2, and I want to apply a different styling, so R colon. So I have red dotted line, the label is cos x. I don't want any frame around my legend, so I give legend frame on equal to false. Okay. Then x-axis is common, so I give the x label as x. So this is how my graph looks like. Okay. So the blue solid line is the sine x, red dotted line is the cos x. I have the corresponding legends here, and this is my x-axis, this is my y-axis, right? So you can easily compare the behavior of sine and cosine function, right? Sine function start from 0, cosine function start from 1. So basically there is a phase difference of pi by 2. The cosine function is pi by 2 ahead of the sine function. That's why sine pi by 2 plus x is cos x. So visually it makes more sense. So that's why we plot graphs to understand their behavior in a better fashion. Next is sine square x. Follow the same program. X equal to linspace 0, 4 pi 100. Y equal to, how do we create sine square x? Sine x into sine x. The rest is same. And this is something new for you probably. In y label I want to print sine square x. So how do you print the superscript? So the syntax for superscript is \xb. So once you write \xb, whatever comes immediately after that will be printed in superscript. Okay, so sine \xb2, then in bracket x. So the 2 will be superscript, so sine square x will be displayed here. So this is a sine square function. So if you look at the sine function, the value changes from -1 to +1. In sine square, basically you have only the positive values from 0 to 1. So the scaling of the axis is done automatically. You don't have to bother about that. Now if you want sine x square, so you create the same x array, y equal to sine x into x. Then how do you give the y label? So sine x \xb2. So only 2 will be the superscript here, so as shown in this figure. So this is how sine x square function is going to look like. So in the previous example, I chose only 100 data points, but in this case, I chose 1000 because you can see the graph is varying very, very fast, right? So when you have a fast variation in your graph, or if there are minor variations in your graph, it's better to give maximum data points as possible, because if you put only 100 data points here, some of the variations will not be displayed correctly. So to capture all the minute variation, all the fast variations, I have increased the number of data points. So this is a common practice while plotting data. If you have so many features to display, or if you have a very fast varying function, you increase the number of data points so that the visualization becomes better. So there is a small homework for you. So I said \xb is the syntax for displaying superscript. And so what is the syntax for a subscript? You can check it up online. Similarly, a graph of exponential function. So x equal to linspace 0, 10, 100. I have 100 data points starting from 0 to 10. Y equal to expx. So this is the function for exponential. Then you plot x and y. X label is x, y label is exponential x. So you can see this is an exponentially increasing function. On the other hand, if you choose your x values are negative, then you have an exponentially decreasing function. So these are some of the common functions. So you can plot any graph using the plot function or the polar function. So in my lectures, I discuss only about two-dimensional graph because that's what you commonly use in your lab experiments or in your theory courses. But if you want, you can also plot three-dimensional graph. So I didn't explicitly mention about it. You can read the textbook or you can refer online to see how to plot three-dimensional graphs. So before winding up, there is another homework for you, because so far we have been discussing about two-dimensional graph wherein you require two axes, one horizontal axis and one vertical axis. What happens if I have only one axis? Can I plot a 2D graph using just one axis? Suppose A equal to 2, 4, 6, 8. So I have only a single list A. If I write plot A, is this a valid code? Can I draw a graph using only one axis? If the answer is yes, then whether A will be treated as the x-axis or a y-axis. If I say my A is y-axis, then what will be my x-axis? So these are the questions you need to answer. So the first thing you can do is you write this code in your Python app or Python software, run it and see whether you are getting any output. And if you are getting an output, try to analyze the output and find answers for all these questions. So that's a homework for you. So with that, we come to the end of module 2. In the next class, we will start discussing about module 3, which is about some of the common numerical techniques used for scientific computing. Stay tuned. Thank you.